The FingerBlade came from necessity, not novelty. It was born from the lived reality of playing guitar at a serious level and repeatedly running into the same physical limitation: loss of control at the moment where intention meets the string. For decades, guitarists have accepted this limitation as normal. Picks slip, rotate, fly out of the fingers, and demand constant micro-adjustments. Players respond by gripping harder, adding tension, and compensating with effort. Over time, this becomes so ingrained that the problem disappears into the background, even though it quietly limits speed, accuracy, tone consistency, and endurance. The FingerBlade began with a simple but uncommon question. What if the problem is not the player, but the interface? The traditional flat pick is a friction-based tool. It relies almost entirely on surface contact and grip force to stay oriented. Under vibration, speed, and repeated string impact, friction fails. When friction fails, control collapses. This is not a flaw of technique. It is a mechanical inevitability. The harder and faster one plays, the more unstable the pick becomes. This is why advanced players experience the problem most intensely, not beginners. Rather than trying to improve friction, texture, or material in marginal ways, the FingerBlade takes a different approach. It redefines the pick as a biomechanical interface. Instead of floating loosely between the fingers, it establishes a structured relationship with the hand. Control is no longer something the player must constantly reassert. It is built into the system itself. At its core, the FingerBlade is a control system. It stabilizes orientation, resists rotation, and prevents ejection by distributing force through geometry rather than grip strength. The design works with the natural mechanics of the fingers instead of fighting them. When force is applied to the string, opposing forces are redirected into stable contact points against the hand. This creates a closed control loop. String impact feeds back into stabilization rather than destabilization. The result is a tool that stays where it is supposed to be, even under aggressive playing. This shift has profound consequences. When the tool no longer demands constant correction, the player's nervous system relaxes. Grip tension decreases naturally because it is no longer required for control. Reduced tension leads directly to increased speed, finer articulation, and greater consistency. Accuracy improves not because the player is trying harder, but because the system removes unnecessary variables. Every pick stroke becomes more predictable. Every string contact becomes more intentional. The FingerBlade does not ask the guitarist to relearn how to play. Instead, it removes a hidden tax that guitarists have been paying their entire lives. Once that tax is removed, familiar techniques suddenly feel easier. Fast passages require less effort. Complex rhythms feel more grounded. Tone becomes more consistent because the angle and attack no longer drift unpredictably. The player is free to focus on music rather than managing the tool. In this sense, the FingerBlade represents an evolutionary step rather than a stylistic departure. Throughout the history of guitar, progress has come from improvements in interfaces, better tuning machines, adjustable bridges, improved string materials, refined fretwork, ergonomic neck shapes. Each advancement removed friction between the player and the instrument. The pick, however, remained largely unchanged. Flat, friction-based, and mechanically naive. The FingerBlade addresses this last unresolved interface. It is also important to understand what the FingerBlade is not. It is not a gimmick, not a trick, and not a shortcut. It does not play for the guitarist, and it does not replace skill. Instead, it respects skill by allowing it to express itself more fully. A beginner gains stability and confidence. An advanced player gains precision and headroom. In both cases, the system scales with the player rather than imposing a ceiling. The FingerBlade's design philosophy aligns with how modern tools evolve in other fields. In aviation, medicine, and engineering, critical interfaces are not left to friction and luck. They are designed as control systems with redundancy, stability, and feedback. Guitar playing, despite its artistry, is still a physical interaction governed by mechanics. Treating the pick as a serious interface rather than a disposable accessory changes what is possible. Looking forward, the FingerBlade points toward the future of guitar playing. As players continue to push speed, complexity, and expressive range, the limitations of legacy tools become more pronounced. A new generation of players is more open to functional design, ergonomics, and evidence-based improvement. The FingerBlade fits naturally into this future because it is grounded in first principles rather than trends. Its relevance does not depend on fashion or genre. It addresses a universal constraint. Ultimately, the FingerBlade is about alignment, aligning the tool with the hand, aligning mechanics with intention, and aligning effort with result. When those alignments occur, playing feels different. More direct, more controlled, more honest. It is not about adding something artificial to guitar playing, but about removing what never needed to be there in the first place.